Welcome back to Thriving Loudly. I'm your host, Aisha Beasley.
And I'm your host, Trinice Watson.
And today we are talking about health and wellness, but not the perfection or aesthetic stuff that you guys are used to.
We're talking about how prioritizing your health when you have a busy schedule, real responsibilities, and a business that relies on you.
So let's get into it.
Let's dive in. I think one of the biggest things that, has been a hindrance for me, or not so much a hindrance, but I think maybe like a core block for me is how do I balance health, wellness, and still being an entrepreneur and, doing laundry and everything else? How do you find that you balance and make the time to still work out and, still be able to be a content creator and get, things done?
Yeah, that is a really good question because there was a point in time where I was not prioritizing my health. When I had my 9 to 5, I feel like it was a lot easier to be like, okay, off work, head to the gym. You know, you had a kind of a set schedule to where it was easy to find those blocks. As an entrepreneur, it is so easy to get into this headspace to want to work 24/7 or work at these random times of the day. And then before you know it, it's 9 p.m. and you haven't left your office.
Yeah.
So it is tough. But I think for me, the biggest change I made last year and now going into 2026, moving my body is a non-negotiable. I don't care how I have to fit it in. I need to figure out a time and some type of movement. If I can't do a full 1 hour class, it's like, okay, maybe it's going to walk on the treadmill. Maybe it is, doing a little bit of yoga at home. I think a good way I've been kind of scheduling my workauts this year has been, I've been like pre-booking my Pilates classes. So Tuesdays and Thursdays, Pilates in the morning. And then Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays, I work out in the evening with my boyfriend. And I just find those time blocks. And then if I have an event or there's something that I need to do and it kind of messes up that schedule, I figure out a way to still fit it in sometime in the day. Yeah. So I made that priority for myself. And I think it is finding a way to prioritize it. If it's something that you care about and you want and you have a goal, you'll figure out how to prioritize it. So again, for me, healthy lifestyle and, looking good is a priority. So I'm going to figure that out.
No, I 100% agree. I'm like that too. I schedule in, I have a schedule for my workouts. So I go to EOS Fitness and I love their body pump class. So I go to that on Mondays and Thursdays. That's like a non-negotiable for me. And like you said, if I can't make it, then, I'll swap something else out for it. But those are the two classes that I make sure that I actually go to. And then if I'm not always able to move my body, I have a walking pad at home. And so that's been a game changer for me. Like if I'm not able to get to my community gym, at my complex, I'll just get on my walking path for 10 minutes, and then maybe get back to work or whatever else I need to do. But that has been a game changer. Also, the sauna has been, I know I talked about that before, has been a game changer. I'm like, so those are non-negotiables for me when it comes to wellness. And like you said, you'll prioritize it. If it's important to you, you will prioritize it. You'll make it happen, regardless. But I think it goes back to having a schedule, whether it's you're working out before you start working, if you need to get up a little bit earlier, or if it's at lunchtime, or if it's the evening, if that works better for you. Because I'll get on my walking pad at lunchtime. When I take a lunch at 12 o'clock or 12:30, I'll just get on it for 10 minutes, or if I can get down to the gym, I'll, get on the treadmill for 10, 15 minutes and then eat and, get back to working out. So I think you can make it work if you really want to.
Yeah, I think it really is a mindset shift. I know in both of our kind of health journeys, we kind of have both been on this journey the last year or so. When did you really realize your health was affecting your confidence? And just, how you felt about yourself and what made you want to make those changes?
I think it kind of just stemmed back from, so I've been on this health kick now for a little over a year. It's been a little over a year. I think when it really became important to me is when I just looked in the mirror and I just didn't feel like myself, low energy. And I was just like, this is just not it. Like, this is not the Trinice that I know myself to be. And I think that's when it got serious for me. But then also just learning as an entrepreneur, I had read something where it was like, most entrepreneurs, they work out, like it's essential to work out, because when you're so busy, you want to have energy throughout the day, right? You got so many things that you're juggling. To be a healthy human being, you really need to be working out. So I think once I realized that, the importance behind it, that's when I really got serious with it and was like, this is something that I have to really dedicate myself to. And it's been a journey, but I've been the most consistent that I've been in a long time. So I'm doing it every week, at least 3 times a week, and making sure that I'm getting in my steps as well. And I've seen just a huge difference within myself. I lost, like 25 pounds. So yeah, it's been a game changer, and I have more energy. I just feel like I'm more like extroverted, and I'm really an introvert. But with the working out, I've just gotten more energy. I see a huge difference. Yeah.
Congrats
Thank
on the
you.
weight loss. I really feel where you're coming from, because there was a point with myself that, I gained, quite a bit of weight in such a short time span. And, it's easy to get lost with the drinking, going to restaurants, doing all the fun things, things that, I felt like in my 20s you can kind of get away with, and it's fine. But I was like, when I got in my 30s, I was like, I can't do this anymore without a consequence.
Yep.
And I realized that, looking on camera, always seeing myself on camera and being like, I don't even recognize myself. I don't know how I gained, 30 pounds within like a year and a half, 2 years.
Yeah.
Cause I've always been a little bit relatively on the thin side. And then just looking at my weight and my body, I was really shocked on how fast that came.
Yeah.
And I remember when I ended up going, this was back in late 2024. I signed up with Altered Athletics. Shout out to them. Jared's an awesome trainer. And we had a good, deep conversation before I started working with them for a little bit. And he's like, where do you want to be in 5 years? I mean, he's like, you've gained this weight in this short amount of time. What would that lead you in the next 5 years? And I was like, yeah, if I've gained 30 pounds this fast, what does the next 2 to 5 years look like?
Yeah.
Is it double, triple that? And it's easier to lose that little weight now versus waiting to where it's like, I got 100 pounds.
50 pounds.
Yeah,
Right.
50, 100 pounds to lose. And I was like, okay, this is my wake up call. I'm still young. I can kind of nip this in the bud now before it becomes, a health issue.
Yeah.
Because, heart disease, diabetes, a lot of that runs in my family. So,
Same. Yeah.
think about that, and think about what that could lead in the next, 5 to 10 years when I get into my 40s. So that really was a wake up call for me to really hone in on my health. And, 2025, I really locked in on diet. Diet was my biggest hurdle for me.
Okay.
The exercising I was doing pretty well, but it was just the eating, the drinking, and I had a hard time in the beginning trying to get some of that little weight off initially until I locked in on the eating, which really helped me in my fitness journey. But it is hard to look at yourself when you see photos from when you're younger, and then you're looking at yourself now and you're like, whoa.
Yeah.
What happened? But, I remember just, reading a study, especially, for women out there who are maybe in their mid 30s or even in their 40s, the decisions you're making now with your body, whether that's, drinking, smoking, eating, the bad habits, this is setting the stage to what the next, decade or so is going to look like.
Yeah.
And, we're kind of at that age where it's like, we really have to think about, the decisions we're making with our body now, because that is going to affect us when we really hit into that peak middle age, going into that, that next part of our life. And I really thought about that. I really thought about, okay, if I'm, drinking, smoking, doing all these things, like, what am I going to look like at 45?
Exactly.
Probably a little rough.
Yeah.
So I was like, we gotta nip this in the bud. And so For me, it was just kind of thinking about what does my future look like? Because I might still want to have kids. I want to be healthy, you know, and I really have to focus on that.
Well, that was the point that I was going to bring up. That's another reason why I got serious too, because I'm like, I do want to have kids, right? And I don't want to be, you know, obese to having a child, you know, being pregnant and carrying and things like that. And so I was like, I got to get serious and lose some weight so that when I do get pregnant, you know, and I know I'm going to gain weight, you know, I still look, you know, I still look nice, you know, and so, but not even that, you know, I'm able to be healthy while I'm pregnant, right? Because a lot of people work out still when they're pregnant, but when you already have that routine set up, it's easier for you to, you know, carry a child and still be able to work out and things like that. So that was top of mind for me. And then I also know, you know, once you hit your 30s, your metabolism starts to drop, you know, and it doesn't burn as fast as it used to in your 20s. You know, I've realized too with me, like my face puff up now. Like my face was not puffy, you know, in my 20s. And I'm like, I don't know what happened when I got to my 30s, but it's like, if I had too many glasses of wine, you know, the next day it's like you have a puffy face and all this. So once I realized that, I was like, okay, yeah, it's time to get like really serious and lock in.
Yeah.
And that's another reason why I kind of cut down on drinking too. I'm just like, this does not align with my health goals.
Absolutely. Yeah. It can really take a toll on that, especially because of just all those empty calories. You know, if you're having several drinks a week, it could like value up to 2,000 to 3,000 calories. And imagine if you weren't consuming those 2,000 to 3,000 calories in drinks, you probably would start to lose weight. What routines actually did work for you to kind of start to get you back on track? Like, you know, and it doesn't even have to just be the workout routines. It could just be your lifestyle. Maybe it was going to bed early. Maybe it was like stopping doom scrolling and just the other things that kind of distract us, right?
Yeah.
Distract us from our goals.
I think first it started with mindset. So it took me a little bit to get here. But I think I had to really just wrap my mind around wanting to be healthy and really understanding that this is important. You know, like you have to be disciplined. It's a mind over a matter, you know, thing. And it's like, how bad do you want this? And so I think once I really looked at the psychology behind, you know, health and wellness and I think I had to really sit down and look at the benefits of health and wellness. And like we talked about as we age and, you know, what do I want to look like when I'm 40, you know, 45 and having kids and all the things. That is when it kind of clicked for me and looking at myself, even last year when we, you know, last year when we did the podcast and we were filming, you know, taking all that into account, I think that really helped me to get serious and say, okay, this is important. You know, where do I see myself going in the long run? And so that's when it clicked for me on a psychological level. So that I think, and that's key. That's number one, because you can want to, and then also I think it's important too, what is the goal, right? Do you want to lose weight just so you can look nice? Or is this really a health benefit? Is this a lifestyle? I think that's what changed for me too. Like it's not just about losing weight and looking nice. This is a lifestyle. This is something I plan to do for the rest of my life. You know, I want to always be in shape. I want to maintain it. You know, I want this to be a part of my day to day. So I think once I had that shift, it became a lot easier for me to be able to wake up at 6 o'clock in the morning and, you know, go to the gym and make sure that I go to take this class at, you know, 9 o'clock on Mondays, knowing that it's rigorous and it's hard and it's challenging, you know, and it's like, you want to quit it, but it became so, it became so great for me, like almost like an accomplishment that I began to enjoy it. So I think it comes down to the psychology first. And then once you have that down, now coming up with a routine and sticking to that. Whether, like I said before, whether it's morning or whether it's, you know, lunchtime routine or whether it's some type of evening routine. And then also your nutrition as well and looking at that. And I got serious about that because I would, you know, not always eat. And I had to learn because I was working with the trainer too. And she really just kind of like sat me down and talked to me. She was like, you need carbs. You know, you need to be eating protein. Yeah. If you don't want to, you know, lose, you know, your curves and stuff like that, it's important to eat protein. Yeah. You know, it's important to do all these things. You know, you can't just cut meals and things like this. So I think once I dialed into that and I realized the importance of, oh, okay, I do need fats. Oh, okay, I do need carbs. Okay, I do need, you know, protein. And so I could still eat a slice of pizza with a salad. you know, and I'm not going to gain weight, you know, just like learning what works for your body and what doesn't. That was a game changer for me.
I love that. Yeah, I think it's all about balance. You know, I still love to enjoy the finer things in life. Don't get me wrong. Just this past weekend, I had canes. Sorry. I was like, yo, I've been on it. I was like, I need something. So yeah, you know, I think you can always have that balance. But
you have to understand that.
Yeah, you can't just overdo it.
Yeah, because some people think that you can't have the balance. Like you can't have a piece of cake. Yeah, you can. You don't have to have the piece of cake every day. You know, one time out the week. You know, like
you can enjoy yourself. It's okay. You know, I'm not one of I wouldn't want to be one of those. You know, props to the people who are like crazy dialed in and that strict, you know, I think that's amazing. But I do think, you know, balance is okay. You know, it's okay to enjoy that in and out, that canes here and there, you know, just don't overdo it. Don't make it a daily thing. Yeah.
Would you say that your boyfriend has influenced you to be more into health and wellness, or do you feel like you would have been this dialed in whether you were with him or not?
I would say yes and no. Before I met him, I was pretty dialed in. I was in a good headspace, but that was like, I was still very new out of leaving my job. So I still had that very locked in, routine mindset.
Okay.
You know, obviously I went full time with what I'm doing with, you know, content creation. And I think that's where the habits and the wheels started to fall off for me. It wasn't right away, but I would say about 6 months in, the wheels fell off. And, you know, I think when you're in that world and you're creating content for a living, it's sometimes you can get so immersed in it and just dialed in on like content, doing this, doing that you kind of forget to put yourself first. Yeah. And that's really what happened.
Okay.
I do feel like he has inspired me to get back on it because he knows my potential. He knows, you know, my potential with things. And I think it's good to have someone who can keep you accountable. Cause I would be like, you know, we'll go grocery shopping. I'm like, hey, let's go get those donuts, you know? And he's like, no, we're not getting that. Or like, I'll pick up something and he'll read the back. He's like, absolutely not. He's like 20 grams of sugar. Yeah. I was like, dang, like, I was like, it's kind of healthy. It's like a granola bar. He's like, no, like, I'm like, oh my gosh. So he's great with that because I mean, there's some things I'm a little bit more like lenient with when it comes to food. I'm like, okay, like it's a granola bar. Yeah, it could be a little bit more healthier, but it's that or a donut. Right. It's that or I'm out at a coffee shop getting a croissant. You know what I'm saying? So I'm a little bit more lenient. He's real locked in, which is good. You know, it gives me that balance because when we're eating and we're cooking meals, I would say 90% of the week I'm locked in. And then if I have a food collab and I have other things going on, you know, I can dabble in and have a little fun and eat, eat the good stuff. So I think he's really been a great support system in that. And, you know, he's really kept me on track with some of my own routines and he's kept me accountable for sure.
Okay. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's what I always say. I'm like, my next boyfriend, he has to be into health and wellness. Like that's a given because this is a part of my lifestyle. Yeah. And it all has to come together. You know, I've had partners who are just not into health and wellness, and I've found myself go to the left because we're having Wingstop. You know, they constantly want to take you out to eat, you know, a couple times a week, and it's like this is not helping me on my health goals. Versus when you have someone that's in alignment and they're into health and wellness, you're going to naturally go to, you know, Flower Child or Kava or you know what have you, or Chipotle even. Versus going to Cane's or, you know, In and Out and stuff. So it really does make a difference. It does.
I agree.
What mindset shift help you like stop self-sabotaging your health and wellness? Like when did you have that shift for you?
I think realizing that for myself, I was kind of wasting time. I have a habit of this, and I think a lot of people are guilty of this, consuming wellness porn. Wellness, that's actually
I've never heard that. Wow.
It's a
That's
thing.
a first.
But it's a thing where you're watching these like you're watching, oh, this sounds so bad, But you're watching TikToks and reels on Pilates videos, wellness, you know, all this stuff. You're consuming the content, but you're not putting in the action. I spent a while just consuming the Pilates videos, the what I eat in a day, the, you know, all the wellness, biohacking videos, saving, you know, adding it into folders of like, oh, I'm going to do this. But I wasn't taking an action. I was just freaking doom scrolling. And
I have a habit of doing that too.
It's so bad. And for those who do not know what doom scrolling is, doom scrolling refers to compulsively consuming negative news or social media, often in long repeated sessions. Continuous doom scrolling activates stress circuits, keeping the brain in a threat response state, which is linked to anxiety and chronic stress. So even with that, like even outside of like the wellness content I was consuming, I was spending a lot of time doom scrolling, consuming so much content, which it is hard when you're in that industry because you kind of feel like you have to do it for research purposes, and research turns into 5 hours of you watching TikTok, and you're down a rabbit hole of a drama of a breakup. You're watching conspiracy theories. I'm watching my wellness porn and Pilates videos on, this is how to be that girl. Like I'm in these rabbit holes. I even freaking watch sometimes like the tarot readings. I'm like,
oh my goodness, especially on TikTok. It's horrible.
It's horrible. You're down there like, this is your time, and you're like, oh yeah, I affirm. Like, sucked the F in. So I, you know, it's not good for you. It's not really healthy. Excessive social media use and doom scrolling are associated with psychological distress and lower well-being. So you're consuming this content, you're getting in your head, you're not taking action on anything, you're comparing yourself, and you're kind of in this constant loop of consumption, but no action. And I think that's where a lot of people are landing nowadays, especially with social media. And I think that's why we're seeing this huge kind of, we're kind of seeing this huge resurgence of people kind of stepping away from social media a little bit to actually live in real life. And actually take action on their life. And I've been guilty of that. Even as a content creator, you would think like, oh, you're out here just popping out, doing all these things. But like the rest of the time I'm here like just doom scrolling away, laying in bed, like watching tarot readings about my life. And
your soulmate is coming tomorrow.
Your soulmate, like all these crazy videos of like, you'll be famous tomorrow. Like,
you're supposed to be doing content creation.
All the videos.
Like, yes, this is right.
All the videos. And I'm like, I could be working out. I could be actually cooking at home meals. I could be taking up a hobby, you know, tennis, pickleball, doing these things to keep myself active. And I've realized like being glued to my phone is like not good and not healthy. And it has heightened my level of comparison and anxiety and my level to take action on my life. And I realized a lot of this late last year to where I'm like, I need to kind of cut down on the consumption of this because it's equally addicting like drugs.
It is.
You know, like it's equally addicting, and it's, you know, there's early studies showing how it is affecting the brain and people's attention spans.
It is.
And it's getting a little scary out there, especially with short form content. So, because I know I find myself not being able to lock in on a TV show because I'm like,
oh my God, I haven't watched TV in forever.
It's hard.
I was just telling my mom this yesterday. I said, Mom, I woke up on Saturday. I said, I woke up at 9 o'clock. I didn't get out to bed until like 11 o'clock because I'm on social media. Just scrolling, like 2 hours just watching videos. Like this is getting out of hand.
And imagine those 2 hours you could have been pouring into yourself, going to a workout class, meal prepping.
Exactly.
And so I think it is a mindset shift to where some of these negative habits you kind of have to let go of if you want to be the best version of yourself.
I agree.
And I had to ask myself, is the best version of myself scrolling for hours upon hours each day, consuming other people's lives and content, or is she going out and living her life healthy, going to workout classes, cooking her own meals, doing those things and being that girl in real life?
Exactly.
And that was something I had to come to terms with late last year. And that's been kind of a mindset shift I've been implementing now for myself, for sure.
Likewise. Yeah, me too. And that's why I've gotten active with the workout classes and stuff. I was like, I got to instead of watching these people on social media, I need to get my butt to the gym myself, you know, instead of watching them make juices. I need to be making a juice. I have a juicer right here sitting on top of my refrigerator. I need to pull this down and start juicing, you know? So for me, it has also inspired me to get back to the things that I love. Like I've always loved health and wellness. That's always been a staple of my life. But at some point it kind of veered off and it was no longer a staple of my life. And so it's like social media, it does help and it does inspire, but it also, like you said, you're doom scrolling, you know, you be so consumed into it that you're not living your life. You're living through people's life really vicariously. You're living through them, you know, rather than your own life. And so I think, it's important to get off of social media. You know, I have a timer, which sometimes I'm like, okay, 15 more minutes, 20 more minutes, you know, but I try to put a timer on my social media to limit, you know, how long I'm on it. And that has been a real game changer for me. How do you stay disciplined with your health and wellness? Like on days where maybe you're feeling down, because, you know, sometimes we get emotional or, you know, it's that time of the month and we're just like, I don't feel like doing it today.
Yeah, that can be tough because I feel like sometimes, you know, if you are not feeling your best, you don't want to do anything. And I think I've been just trying to do just something, even if it's like a 5-minute stretch, a walk outside, just something minimal to move my body. I don't try to put a lot of pressure on myself if I end up missing a day of working out. You know, I don't put that pressure on myself. I'm like, okay, I'll get back at it tomorrow, but let's not make this a habit, right? Like, let's not go back to the old Aisha where she would just be like, oh, whatever, you know, miss a full week, you know? 'Cause I even, you know, brought this up to my boyfriend. Like I had like an event I was going to and whatnot. And, you know, normally we work out in the evenings together. And then I told him, I was like, hey, you know, I want to, let's work out in the afternoon. Like, and then I can come home and then I'll get ready for my event. Because the old Aisha would have just been like, I'm not working out today. I have an event. I'm not, you know, but I tried to figure out a way to make some time, even though let's say my schedule changed or I had another opportunity. So I've been trying to just find a way to do something. Every day is different. It's never perfect, but you know, I try to at least minimum get 3 days a week of working out in. You know, lately it's been 5 to 6. But you know, hey, some weeks you're busy, you're traveling, you life happens, but I think it's still keeping that consistency. And I think, you know, a great book for a lot of people is Atomic Habits.
Oh my God, I love that book.
Yeah. You know, just the little stacked habits over time, you know, to continue to kind of stay consistent. So, you know, definitely a book for you guys to check out if you're kind of struggling on having to start something new and you're trying to build that habit and build that muscle, because it is repetition and it may be 5 minutes, it may be 10 minutes, and then you can build up to that hour-long workout or whatever you're trying to achieve in life. Yeah,
because like they say, it takes 21 days to make a habit. And I truly believe that, you know, repetition, consistency, and it will become second nature for you. Even when you're not feeling right, you're not going to feel right if you don't do anything. You know, it's like, okay, well, get on that walking pad, you know, for 5 minutes, or go outside, get some fresh air, and okay, you know, you've done something.
Yeah.
Rather just laying in the bed all day, you know. So it does make a difference. Okay. How do you feel in terms of like, now that you've been working out consistently, how do you feel like that has helped you or changed you when it comes to confidence?
I feel like it's really helped me pour back into myself and, you know, practice self-love. I feel like when you're doing something for yourself, it feels good. So you feel accomplished. You're like, I was able to move my body and I feel good. And that's really helped me because, you know, over the past year or so, I've been in like kind of like my head about, my confidence and stuff like that. And I think it just came down to me not pouring into myself and just, again, worrying about other people and obligations and things work stuff versus pouring into myself. And I feel like now that I'm focusing on myself, pouring back into myself, cutting off some bad habits, I feel better. I feel like that's so important, and it's really helped shape my confidence better. What about you?
Yeah, no, I agree. I think just moving your body, when you start to eat healthy, you start losing the weight, you start feeling better about yourself, right? You start to see your curves come in, or just maybe not even curves, just your shape, starts to be more defined, and your face is slimming down. It's like, oh, okay, she's coming back. I'm looking good. So I would say for me, that has been the biggest thing. Like actually seeing the results has made me feel like, okay, I'm starting to feel back to myself and, feeling good about me. And that's why I think it's important, that people are invested in health and wellness and themselves, because when you pour into yourself, not just aesthetically, but when you are, exercising, when you're eating healthy, it just really makes a difference on your well-being as a whole. Not only do you look good, feel good, but also internally you feel good as well. You have more energy, you're more energized, your skin is brighter. It's just a whole domino effect. And so that's how it has helped me, and I love it. I just feel happier and everything. So
that's good. That's good.
What's a routine that you would say that you've established, like one routine when it comes to, it could be, health, wellness, or like one routine that you live by or that you do frequently?
Yeah, I would say one routine I've been practicing at night is to kind of get back to having a little bit of a better nighttime routine.
Okay.
Especially, sleep is important.
Yes.
That's what helps so many benefits: anti-aging, stress, cortisol levels, all of those things. And so dimming the lights at a certain time, putting on like red light if I need light on in the apartment. Also just kind of winding down. I'm trying to get better at this, but winding down with maybe like a TV show, something more long form versus scrolling.
Yes.
Just to kind of wind down. I've also been trying to be a little bit better once I get into bed, and not to have my screen, not to be scrolling. Still working on that. I still sometimes need a hit before bed, a little scroll before bed. Like, it's hard, it's hard to like drop everything at once. But I've been really practicing like lowering my screen time before bed.
Okay.
Going to bed at a consistent time each night, not just like, 10 one night, 1 the next night, midnight the next night. Like having a consistent sleep schedule is really important for your mental health and just your cognitive function and hormones and just all the things. And so for me, that's been really important to start to implement that. And I've been feeling better, more refreshed at night.
That's
and,
good.
Sometimes I've been also making like a little magnesium, like sleep drink. Melatonin's helped a lot, but melatonin now has been shown not to be good long-term to take. So I'm trying to lay off and not doing too much melatonin, but like a sleep drink that has like tart cherry, magnesium, L-theanine, and just to kind of calm the nervous system, calm down so I can be in a better state to go to sleep at night. That's definitely helped, because if you guys watched the last episode, or listened to the last episode, I was talking about how I was using gummies and cannabis to try to go to sleep at night, which, isn't the best thing to be doing. So I've been replacing that with like a sleep drink and kind of supplements at nighttime. So that's been helping me, and just kind of cutting the social media consumption at a certain time, because it's just really not good. It just it hires your cortisol levels. You're just consuming the content, and it's just stressing you out before bed. And like, that's also not good.
Yeah, I agree. I would say a game changer for me is being more intentional, like you said, about sleep. I think that is so important. Like, I didn't sleep good last night. I always notice a difference, when you don't sleep good. You just, you're not yourself like you should be. But teas is like my go-to. Love drinking a tea before I go to sleep. Like I'll drink the tea like 6, 7, just to kind of wind me down. I love chamomile and lavender. And then also I drink this tea called Night. I think it's like Night Night. Love it. Like it literally puts me to sleep. And so that has been my game changer. Is every time I, take my tea, get off of social media like an hour beforehand, I notice that I fall asleep a lot faster. I like to go to bed like 9, 10 o'clock so that I can, be fresh for the next day. And that has really just changed my life. So I try to stick by that. Obviously you don't always do that, just depending on what's going on, in your life. But that has been a true game changer for me, where I feel like the next day I'm like, okay, I feel rested and, I'm ready for the day.
I love that. Yeah. Sleep is so important.
It is.
Yeah. Okay. So for you, what did you have to release to make health more sustainable for you?
What did I have to release? I think bad habits, and I think it goes back to mindset for me, because that was like really big. It's just the mindset shift, knowing that you can't eat what is it? Not a half a dozen, but like, just a half a pizza basically. Like that's not sustainable. So, I think it's just bad habits, looking at, put down, some of that wine, put down some of the fast food, and really get serious about this if this is something that's important to you.
Yeah, and I want to kind of piggyback off this and ask you another follow-up question. How did discipline change your relationship with yourself? Because obviously it's a mindset shift, but also you have to be disciplined too. Like it's mindset and discipline. So how did you kind of get into that flow state to where you were disciplined? Because we can want certain things, but then we have this like thing in the back of our head, be like, well, man, that donut looks so good, So how did you get over that?
It was hard in the beginning. It was. Luckily, I'm not really a sweets person. I'm just a little bit more of like fast food. But once I kind of cut down on that and got serious about my goals, I think for me, it just came back to just looking in the mirror, like not being happy with what I saw. And it's like, it just eventually clicked like, okay, you got to get serious about this, and starting to attend those classes and getting comfortable with that and, setting up a schedule. It helped with discipline. And then also really understanding how to eat for my body, I think has helped with discipline as well, because it's like, okay, well, I can still have, a slice of pizza, and I can have a salad too. I don't have to cut it out. I thought it was, you can't have any pizza, or maybe pizza once a month because, that's going to derail you from your goals or whatever. And so I think that has helped me with discipline, is being able to have that balance, knowing that I can still eat what I want to eat. It may look different, but if I feed it this way, where I have a carb, where I have a protein, where I have a fat, it could still be balanced and it could still work. And so that really helped me for discipline, is knowing that I could still have the things, it wasn't all be all like either this or that.
Yeah.
What would you say?
I think that's important, being intuitive with your eating. I'm the same way. I don't think you need to, and everybody's different. Some people may need to fully cut it out completely because they may not have self-control. But if you're able to eat intuitively, eat until you're satisfied, not just eat everything until you're like, oh my gosh, my stomach,
Right.
I think you can still have that healthy balance where you can enjoy a slice of pizza. I know for myself, like, I've never been a really hardcore soda drinker, but sometimes I just want something sweet with my dinner. So, having a Poppy or an Olipop, like having that little bit of, it's still sugar, but it's better. It's better for you. I think is important, right? So I've been really just kind of, focused on what are some healthy alternatives that I can enjoy. I also love protein ice cream. So that's been a game changer, having that for...
I've never had that. What's the brands?
There's a brand, I think it's called... There's a couple. There's a brand that you can get. I think you can get at like Fry's or Safeway. It's called like just Protein. It's like if you look in the pint section of like the proteins, the ice cream section, you'll see it, and it has protein in it. I think like 20 grams of protein. Also, there's a local brand I just tried out. It's called Natty Ice Cream, and their pints are 35 grams of protein. So if you like sweets, you like a little bit of something, like I've been just finding healthy alternative snacks. Another one that I personally like that also has protein is Khloe Kardashian. She has Cloud Popcorn. She just launched a popcorn brand, and it's like protein popcorn. So just little snacks, like it's, you can still indulge, but it's like a little bit on the healthier end where you're hitting your protein. That's really helped me with my goals and kind of staying on track. Like I can indulge, but this is like a better alternative for me.
I love that. Because right now I'm just doing like protein shakes and stuff. But protein ice cream, that's a new one for me.
You'll have to check it out for sure.
What are some of your go-to like snacks or like I guess snacks that you eat, for health and wellness or?
So I like to do either the Oikos or the Chobani, like drinkable yogurts. I feel like those are just easy if I need to get in some protein, and it's just, it tastes good. It's satisfying. I love the beef jerky sticks. I think those are just easy, just to kind of snack on. Granola, I'll do protein bars. I've just been starting just to get creative with like, I've been just trying to find a healthy alternative. So like I mentioned, like Cloud Popcorn. I love chips. So Siete chips, they're like a very clean brand. So like, doing that with like some homemade guac or just even their salsa is good because it's cleaner.
It is.
So I've been just looking at like, I want to still indulge, but also have healthy alternatives. So like, what can I find in Whole Foods, Fry's, wherever, to find those healthy alternatives, and so I can still enjoy my life.
I agree. I'm all about the healthy alternatives for sure. I'm just thinking for me, like one of my go-tos, I love to make like salmon, and then those Taylor Farms salad packs. That's like my go-to. Like if I don't have time to cook, I'll just hurry up and make a salmon, and then I'll make the salad and I have a meal, and sometimes I can stretch that for lunch and dinner, kind of stretch it out throughout the day. I've really been getting more into like the yogurt parfaits. If I do eat breakfast, which I don't typically fast, but I may eat that for lunch, or I may eat that for dinner if I'm, skipping dinner and I just, want to do a probiotic and add a little bit of protein powder to that as well. And I'm big on fruits and vegetables as well. Like just going back to the basics, cutting up a pineapple, eating some carrots. Like
one thing that I like to do, have you done frozen grapes? Have you just like put the grapes in the freezer?
No, but I saw that on social media. I was like, I got to do that.
It's fire. Yeah. I do that too as like a little like late night snack. If I'm like, man, I had dinner, but that wasn't enough. It's like a little bit of that. Like so good. You have to try it. Yeah.
I've seen people put like, is it wine? I think they're putting like wine in the grapes now, and they're freezing them. I saw that for the holidays.
Oh, that's
people
a
were
new
doing
one.
That.
Yeah, I just freeze the grapes and just eat them. It's like it tastes like kind of like a popsicle. Imaginary. I'm like imagining that. I try to train my brain to like enjoy those things, but it's good. It's really good.
Okay. Yeah, I'll definitely have to check it out. Another game changer has been for me for my water. Like I'll put coconut water. I'll mix coconut water with my water. I'll drink that. And then also I love to take charcoal once a week just to like clean out my system, to detox. That's like my go-to, especially if you, do drink or, if you smoke marijuana or anything like that. It's good to detox once a week to kind of get rid of all those, toxins and things like that. So that's like a big one for me.
Yeah. Charcoal pills are clutch. I know when I was younger, I would take those when I was like hungover.
That's the trick. Yeah,
that's the trick.
It is. Yeah.
And they say sometimes it's better to take them before you drink because it's absorbing the alcohol when you're drinking. So you're not like hungover the next day. But I was like, back in like my 20s, I was like, let me take some charcoal pills. I'm like struggling.
Right. I'm going to try it before because you always do it just after, the day after. I'm like, okay, I do feel better. Yeah. So we're gonna wrap up today's episode. choose one wellness habit for the next 7 days. That can be a 10-minute walk. It could be creating a morning routine, an earlier bedtime, or it could even just be stretching or movement.
Yeah, those are some really good ones. And, start small, because starting small is super important. And we're going to close out with an affirmation. And today's affirmation is, I honor my body as the foundation of my confidence.
Yes. And so thank you guys for watching. Again, you can follow us on social media at Thriving Loudly. You can follow us on YouTube as well, Thriving Loudly. You can find us on there. Also Spotify, anywhere that you can find your podcasts. All right. Until next time.
Bye.
Bye.
Guys.